Welcome to the stylistically sucking podcast.
Oh.
Who came up with that? Noah came up with that. How are you today, Noah?
Well, technically, TV Tropes came up with it before I did, but that's neither here nor there. I'm doing quite well. How are you?
I'm okay in this COVID times of ours. I'm happy I can chat with a friend like you right now.
It's always good to have a buddy to chat with. It helps keep the depression away, so to speak.
Why? Do you have trouble? Do you mind if I ask about depression for you? You keep bringing it
No,
up.
go ahead. Yeah, a lot of people have been experiencing like anxiety and stress and depression from this social distancing thing, and just like being out of a job and stuff. And it's been hard for a lot of people, and I have kind of felt that too. And like I've had a bit of trouble sleeping the last couple nights. I've had a loss of appetite recently, but like it's fine. Like it's fixable. The point is that like this COVID-19 is really shaking up a lot of people's lives, I think, in a very negative way. And it's very important for us to keep our mental health intact during a difficult time like this.
Well, hopefully we can kind of, I don't know, brighten up each other's day. Because I'm not feeling it as horrible, I'll say. I really do miss like hugging my mom and my sister, and my father.
Yeah.
And I know they miss it a lot too. So I've been just trying to keep in touch with friends. Like yesterday, Ian and Lester and myself kind of had a impromptu podcast out of nowhere. And then you and I are going to continue with this one, hopefully.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Oh, there we go. So yeah, it's important to stay connected with your loved ones, because when you take care of yourself, you also help take care of others by making them not worry about you so much. Sage
words, Noah.
I wouldn't exactly call myself a sage, but occasionally I get things right.
Well, in this party, let's say our RPG party, I can see you being the sage. I don't know what I would be.
So Ian's the white mage. I'm the sage.
Red. You'd be
What's
the
Lester?
red mage. You'd be red.
The red mage.
You had a mix of black and white.
Ooh.
Magic.
Getting culturally diverse with those spells.
The hoodoo. You got the hoodoo. The hoodoo. Lester would be the the scientist type, the intellectual guy who maps the stars. I'd be the guy in the loincloth, I hope. retired veteran warrior. That's my class. Orcish class.
So you're rocking the loincloth, hey?
Absolutely. But anyways, you want to get into the podcast?
Absolutely.
As we always do in this podcast, our segments, we don't have any. We just kind of make it up as we go. But sorry, you're gonna say something, Noah?
I said, yeah, it's off the cuff. It's the DialUp Podcast. We don't need no production schedule value.
Just two friends chatting, a clashing of generations. Generation X, myself, I say, and Noah, you're the millennial generation, I guess.
Well, yeah. That's technically what I am classified as, according to time.
That's why I try to get your input on a lot of things that us old folks don't understand.
Well, trust me, I'm starting to get to the age, I'm almost 26, where I don't understand kids anymore.
I'm gonna enjoy like seeing you go through what I go through. Trying to keep up with these youngins.
Have you seen what kids' toys are like today? They're so obsessed with like slime and poop for some reason. I don't understand it at all. It's kind of disgusting, actually.
That's funny that you say that. My daughter loves unicorn glitter slime or whatever.
I know. I'm no longer hip nor with it. I mean, I never was.
Were we ever? Ian, it's funny, growing up, like Lester, Ian, and myself, we weren't necessarily the hip ones either, as you can tell. Like, we were the alt culture, I guess you could say. Even though Lester listened to the most hardcore of hardcore hip hop back in the day, everyone else was listening to like Ja Rule and Mace, and they're like, "Yo, this is the hardest rap." And then me and Lester show up, and I'm like, "Have you even heard of Spice One? Have you even heard of the NWA?" And we don't mean the North American Wrestling Alliance. God dang it! But
we should all know. Everyone should know who the NWA are. They're straight out of Compton.
Yes, Noah, you are the hardest the hardest man in this
Straight out of
podcast.
Winnipeg. Straight out of Winnipeg, son.
No, but it's true. Like Ian was into like anime, so was Gary, like hardcore anime. That wasn't necessarily mainstream at the time, you know. We kind of just had our own little, you know, when everyone is having parties where they would even drink a little bit. Our parties had pizza and McDonald's food. That's how wild we got. That was it.
Dude, are you kidding me? Pizza parties are the best.
Absolutely.
I have them with my church all the time.
It's like we were doing no girls allowed parties up until grade 11.
No girls allowed at the Halo Land party.
What was your like junior high and high school life like? Similar? Different? Same?
Well, you know, it's funny. I got bullied a lot actually in junior high.
Yeah?
Yeah, actually, it's kind of like it's funny to look back on now, but it wasn't at the time, of course.
No, of course. Noah, if I was
So-
in your school, no one would bully you. Let's just say I would have been there for you. I hated bullies. Like,
Thanks,
honestly,
bro.
I hated bullies. I remember Lester would even get picked on in school, and I would stand up for him, kind of. But it wasn't like
Okay.
hardcore bullying, you know. I think I was just looking for an excuse to fight sometimes. But I know kids nowadays are really being taught at an early age, right? They have signs all over my daughter's school. This is an anti-bullying school, you know. And you,
Yeah, well, I mean, bullying's way more prevalent, especially in the online space now. So we got to be
yeah.
extra vigilant with our kids and try to teach them right at a young age.
Absolutely. It's but yeah, I think if we went to school, Noah, I think you would have hung with my crew. We were just lucky, I guess. There was a big number of us alternative geeks in school, kind of thing. We were kind of we weren't just like one or two. There was like 10, 15 of us, you know, so it was kind of okay. I can imagine being like two of us in a school, feeling outnumbered and stuff. That would have been rough.
Mm-hmm.
But hey, you're here now, Noah, and you're my friend. I'm happy that you made it this far.
You're damn right.
Absolutely. Okay, let's get it. Sorry, you wanted to add anything before we move on from bullying?
Yeah. You know, in high school, I was actually the geek. I was the guy who played Yu-Gi-Oh at lunch.
I played Magic the Gathering.
We're not so different after all.
You know, I was I know in these COVID times you're not supposed to go out much, but I was at Fusion Gaming back when it wasn't as bad right now, like it is today.
Yeah.
You know? And the guy in front of me, like I was going into trading Magic cards. Dude in front of me was a really big guy up top. He obviously doesn't work out his legs. He got good show muscles. Tatted up to his neck, you know? It's kind of coming onto his face. And he pulls out his box, you know, his box of spells. Yu-Gi-Oh cards. Homeboy is trading in Yu-Gi-Oh cards with his acid wash jeans and his ripped up shirt, you know? Pulls out Yu-Gi-Oh cards. And I'm like, great. Look how far we've come, hey?
Yeah, man. Everyone's a nerd in their own way now.
Yeah, I like that. It's more accepted culturally.
Thanks, Marvel.
Marvel? Is it Marvel that did it, you think?
I feel like it was kind of a perfect storm because, like, around the mid-2000s when I was growing up, the anime boom was happening, of course, so that was a big thing. It's still happening today with a lot of young people, even friends I know who have kids that are getting into anime. Video games are more mainstream now than they've ever really been. I mean, they're just an accepted part of daily life, pretty much.
You want to know my theory here, Noah? Okay, sorry, continue yours, but I have a theory about this too.
And like I feel like I feel there were two superhero movies that really kicked off the boom that led up to the MCU and everyone becoming superhero fans. Spider-Man 2 and X-Men 2.
X-Men 2 is great.
I think those were the movies that really kick-started this whole thing because, you know, all of a sudden people are like, wow, these movies based on kids' comics are actually really awesome.
You know what? Like Spider-Man in the early 90s it was cool to read Spider-Man, I would say. It wasn't counterculture. But Spider-Man 2 was like at the time my favorite Spider-Man movie out of all like
it still
Sam
holds up
Raimi
really
movies.
well, actually.
Visually maybe not so much.
I mean, it does look like a comic book, you have to admit.
Yeah, it does. I liked it okay. I didn't mind that Spider-Man. Obviously now with Homecoming we are more spoiled, I think.
Yeah, we just have the perfect boy in Tom Holland.
Man, it's so weird when you see him talk without his like Jersey type accent.
And I'm like, oh, I forgot, Spider-Man's British.
Yeah, that's crazy. That's pretty much the story of a bunch of other Marvel characters too.
I know.
But my theory, okay, this is how I think geek culture got socially accepted in mainstream. I think the biggest catalyst is, I think, the show The Big Bang Theory.
Well, I mean, for a while, it was the highest rated sitcom in all of North America.
Yeah, I think that kind of brought to light, like, into the mainstream. It's cool to, like, statue collecting, comic book collecting, and to see really smart people, even though they're kind of quirky, and obviously it's a comedy, but it was just cool, right? It was cool now to be a geek. It was okay because they made a show about it.
I enjoyed the first 3 seasons, especially of The Big Bang Theory. I felt like the show started to kind of go off the rails after that, but I kept up with it because my mom's a huge fan of it, so I would occasionally watch it with her. And I did see the finale, and you know, I think they ended the series on a pretty great note. But back a few years ago, I was actually kind of anti-Big Bang Theory because I thought it perpetuated negative stereotypes of geeks in some episodes. Like, oh, a girl walks into a comic book store and everybody's like, I'm like, that. I've been to a comic book store numerous times in my life. That never happens.
Wow. Okay.
But I know it's a comedy. They're playing it up for laughs, obviously.
Okay. I'm gonna use a stereotype against your era, Noah. It's how easily the millennial snowflake has been triggered.
Yeah, I know.
The clashing of the cultures.
I feel like we're in a strange transitional phase where we're trying to figure out, like, because I know a lot of, especially on the internet, people take things way too close to heart sometimes, and I can understand why some people would. Like, I was having a conversation with my mother today about, we don't understand the the history of oppression that, like, say, Black Americans went through.
Yeah.
So it's easy to see why they're, like, still so riled up about a lot of that stuff. But at the same time, I feel like we need to be able to learn to move beyond that and not let it dominate, like, our identity, if that makes sense.
Yeah, everything's very tribalized and politicized online, right? You have to be part of a party here. You can't be part of this party and part of that party. You have to be all in to one party. That's what I feel like.
I hate I hate politics. Yeah. I feel like it poisons every touches.
Yeah, but on my end, it's really hard to talk about something I have no experience in, right? Like I hold on. It's funny. Sorry, sidebar. I like how sometimes you pixelize your video. Totally lives up to the name of DialUp Podcast. But I guess in Canada, the closest thing that we have is the treatment of, like, the indigenous people in our history of Canada.
Yeah, the residential schools and all that.
Yeah, and the systematic oppression of their people. I hate talking.
Like, I first learned about that in history class in grade 11. I was genuinely shocked. I didn't even know that happened before history class.
Yep.
Like, and I felt bad. I'm like, why did we do this?
It is what it is, right? It's the part of our history that kind of got us to where we are now.
The thing with history is that you have to take the good and the bad, because the bad is what you end up learning from, and that's what makes the good happen.
Yeah. It's not a fairy tale story. It's documentation of live events. I hate when people try to rewrite history. I hate that.
No, like, human history is pretty ugly.
It is.
But there's also beautiful parts.
Yes.
So, you know,
and the beautiful is yet to come still.
Exactly.
Okay, let's move.
It's funny.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's funny. You posted today on Facebook some clips from Avengers Endgame, and, like, the way you said the good times will come again. That really spoke to me. Like, yeah, man. Like, sometimes I just straight up listen to the Avengers music right now to just give me hope, because it's so, like, it really does put you in a mood like, okay, things look bad, but the heroes are on their way.
That's kind of why I put it that way, you know. But okay, but to close off my theory about how geek culture became accepted is when Marvel was able to take their destiny into their own hands and make their own studio and make their own movies. Yeah, man. God dang, everyone all of a sudden was a comic book fan. I would be like, you guys weren't there from the beginning. You didn't read this. I read this. You did.
How many people knew about, like, before the movie, no one really knew about Guardians of the Galaxy except for hardcore comic fans. But the movie was so great that suddenly everybody's, like, super down with it.
See, people who like maybe didn't understand it or didn't go into it in the past weren't able to like appreciate the beauty that was in that until it was literally displayed for them in as easy to digest format as a movie. And all of a sudden, people see the greatness of the literary work or the comic book work that it really was, the source material that we probably more grew up with than they did, and appreciated.
Yeah,
more.
like I think one of the problems that most audiences have when it comes to comic books, they're so continuity heavy these days. It's impossible for a new fan to get into it unless you're buying like some kid-oriented series or something where it's less about continuity and stuff. Because Marvel, it feels like Marvel reboots themselves every 6 months lately. They're always having these events, these big events.
Well, let's get into this as our next segment. I guess we'll talk about the our impressions of the MCU currently and where it's going, and even the past. The DialUp Podcast talk about their experience of the MCU. What was the first MCU movie? Iron Man, right?
Oh yeah, great movie.
Who knew that Iron Man would be the one to like spark this entire thing?
Because you would think it would be somebody like SpiderMan.
Yes,
but no, it was Iron Man who was to most people. Iron Man was just like a guy they maybe played as in a fighting game once, or something.
Or you saw his comic books, but never really picked. Because I never picked up an Iron Man comic in the '90s. Did he have any in the '90s?
Oh yeah.
I didn't read any of them. I read X-Men and Spider-Man. Not an Iron Man.
I mean, I think most kids in the '90s were only focused on X-Men and Spider-Man, though.
That's why those were the first movies that came out, not MCU.
Yeah, exactly.
I guess we should pay homage to those movies, the Spider-Mans, the X-Men's of their day, because really they wrote the template almost that the future of Marvel movies could be based off of. But before that, it was like video game movies. There was no good template on how to make a good video game movie. What's the template to make a good comic book movie? It hadn't been done yet. And would you say Spider-Man? I guess. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Yeah, sorry. That was. It's fine. Go on.
Mom, don't pick up the phone. I'm trying to do a podcast. Dial up. No, I was talking about. So Spider-Man. The first Spider-Man movie, would you say that was like the first acceptable comic book movie that didn't suck like I don't know what was before it? The Punisher movie in the 90s? They had a Captain America movie in the 90s or 80s. Spider-Man would have to be the first acceptable good comic book movie. Would you agree or disagree?
Well, yeah, I would say so. The last big comic book movie before that era was, I think, Batman and Robin.
Yeah. So I'm focused so much on Marvel. I forget about the DC universe now. Wow.
And I'm like, a lot of people were probably soured after that movie on superheroes. So even early on in 1998, a year later, Blade was a big hit and managed to start turning people's opinions around, I think, before the X-Men even hit the
Here's the thing with Blade. Here's the thing with Blade to me. Blade was a good movie. Like a Matrix, but I never associated it as a comic book movie. Does that make sense? Like to me, it was always just a good movie. And
it's an action horror movie.
Yeah, and I think most people didn't see it as a comic book movie. Hence, it didn't usher in the era of comic book movies. At least for the Marvel standpoint, I'm not gonna focus on DC because I love the first Batman movie. Obviously, Michael Keaton. That was a good movie. Yeah. But we won't focus. We'll focus on Marvel.
Yeah. I think the first X-Men movie was really where it started.
How old were you when those movies came out?
The first X-Men?
X-Men and Spider-Man movies. You had to have been like 8.
The first X-Men movie came out in 2000, and I would have been 6 at the time.
Wow.
And when Spider-Man came out, I was 8.
Did you watch those movies in the theater as a kid?
Not in the theater, but... definitely we would rent them from Rogers when they came out.
Movie rental, man. That's something the next generation won't know about.
I still remember renting Spider-Man 2 on VHS.
Oh, that's great.
Not even DVD.
That's great. So, to you, it's fun to talk like this, but to you, Marvel's Spider-Man and X-Men movies were the equivalent of my Michael Keaton Batman movie that my mom took me to when I was 5, which was a fantastic movie.
It still is a really good movie. Yeah, like that was the awakening of a lot of things, I think.
And then from there, what was in between that and Iron Man?
Well, we had the Fantastic Four in 2005. You know what? The 2005 movie gets a bad rap. It's not terrible. It was better than what came afterwards.
Well, how can Captain America be in 2 movies? Same character. Or different characters. Sorry. Hold on, you froze, Noah. I'm gonna wait. I was saying, how can Chris Evans play 2 Marvel characters?
I don't know. The man's got talent. What can I say?
I was so doubtful if it was Cap, to be honest. Before he, and then when he came out, I was like, "Yep, I like it as Cap."
He just nailed it.
Oh, he totally did. And from like the cocky Johnny Cage, from the cocky Johnny Storm, Johnny Cage. I'm mixing genres. But no, he nailed Cap.
Mortal
Cap
Kombat.
Oh wait, we forgot
Mortal
about the
Kombat
Hulk
versus
movie.
Marvel.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh right. Everybody forgets about the 2003 Hulk movie though. It's got some good stuff, but it's a very confusing movie. It's a very cerebral film, I think. And I think that turned a lot of people off who were expecting, Hulk smash action all the time.
Yeah, and they tried to give you that in the follow-up, too. That's kind of funny. And I think we're also forgetting about the Thomas Jane Punisher.
Yeah,
movie.
and
That
which
one I
actually
liked.
which spawned a sequel, Warzone.
Warzone was wasn't like a spin-off. Did you watch Warzone?
Yeah, I watched it back in the day, but for the life of me, I could not tell you what happened now because it's been so long. And unless I own a movie or it airs on TV, I don't get a chance to rewatch it very much.
Well, Warzone was like one of those movies that the studio had to make in order to maintain the IP, or else if they didn't make
that
another
classic
Punisher movie.
situation.
Yeah, that's what I felt like they did
so many great movies have spawned from that.
Yes, like Fantastic Four.
Or The Amazing Spider-Man 2.
I like Thomas Jane's Punisher, but obviously John Benthal's Punisher is definitive. To me.
Yeah.
How can you? And then so you get the first Avengers. Sorry, go ahead.
I mean, did you see the prison breakout scene? Come on.
Fantastic.
That was the Punisher right there.
Fantastic. I like the one where all the guys go to raid his hideout or whatever.
Yeah.
And he just cerebrally takes them all out. Oh, that's a shame that's kind of gone. But we'll get back to that. We'll circle back to that.
Yeah.
After Captain America, you get Iron Man, Captain America. What else was there that kind of jointed? Thor movie.
There was Thor. There was Batman movies. There was one Superman movie.
We don't count
in the mid 2000s.
We're keeping DC. We're keeping DC out of it.
Well, I'm just.
Those are.
There was
words.
some bad X-Men sequels.
Oh man, we forgot about
Spider-Man 3.
Don't get me started on Spider-Man.
You know what? Actually, there are parts of Spider-Man 3 I really like.
Yeah.
But I feel like as a whole, the movie just does not work. But
Yeah, it feels like it was pieced together. But Sam Raimi did have a lot of pressure from the.
Studio. Venom was forced on him, but by the studio and Avi Arad, because I bet you anything it was to sell action figures.
Oh, absolutely.
Because of course.
Yeah. Do you think if they played that differently, Spider-Man 3 would have been a better movie?
If they had kept it more grounded and focused on the Sandman and the New Goblin and just cut Venom entirely, leave Eddie Brock as a sequel tease, I think it would have been much better.
I think they could have made a whole trilogy out of Venom. Like the next trilogy?
And rework the black suit scenes, because some of those were just, they're beautiful memes, but they're not good scenes.
I hated the way they introduced the symbiote. Literally, no origin, just shot down from a star or from space or whatever. And it found Spider-Man. Yep. I hate that, what do you call it? It was almost like destiny, or just by chance this happened, right? What are the odds in all of the world, in all the universe, the symbiote will land so close enough to find Spider-Man in the whole of the world? I hate that type serendipitous crap. Make it make sense. You know what had a really good, I think, what I was hoping they would do for the symbiote, the way it would come to the movie was, do you remember the Spider-Man cartoon show on Fox?
Oh yeah, that's my favorite Spider-Man. Are you kidding me?
Oh man, and then J. Jonah Jameson's son finds this ore. Was it on a moon or an asteroid? I think that would have been more, I don't know, better to bring the symbiote into the movie.
I was hoping for that because they had John Jameson in Spider-Man 2.
My God, that's correct. He was gonna marry Mary Jane.
Yes, they already set him up. You could have used him to introduce the symbiote.
They should have done it. Like, Spider-Man goes to save the crash landing, whatever spaceship, right? Because the symbiote took it over on the.
Imagine that as an opening set piece for Spider-Man 3.
Oh my God, it would have been great. Just tease it at the end of 3, and in Spider-Man 4, the new trilogy, the Venom trilogy, which will culminate with Venom and Spider-Man teaming up to take on Carnage. Why aren't we writing for them? Why aren't we writing?
I don't know, man.
My God.
I don't know who gets paid to come up with some of this crap, honestly.
Finish your thought.
How do I get their job so I can make things right?
Exactly. Well, let's end this part of the segment on the first Avengers movie, because I think that culminates, obviously, that era of Marvel. What do they call Phase 1?
When you get me on the topic of Spider-Man 3, it just starts kind of rolling.
Well, I'm happy we get to talk about it, because these are raw emotions, right? These are raw feelings about this topic.
And if you think the movie's bad, you should see the video game.
I don't want to. Hey, the video game, the PlayStation 1 had Bruce Campbell voicing on there.
Yeah, that was classic.
Still haven't played it. But the first Avengers movie, the first semblance of a cinematic universe, I was in awe when I heard that they were actually building towards it. And obviously they had planned it. I think they had planned it loosely at the beginning because they didn't know for sure if they could pull it off. Because
they probably didn't even know. They probably didn't know if Iron Man was going to even make any money.
Oh, correct. But obviously, as the phases went on, the stories became more tighter and interwoven into each other. But the first Avengers movie, my God, what was your first reaction to it when you watched it? Hold on, Noah, you froze.
It was crazy to see all of these characters together for the first time, and it was a fantastic movie. On top of that, the writing was spot on, the character interactions were great, the Hulk was awesome.
My God, what luck they had to recast Hulk with what's his name again?
Mark Ruffalo.
What an amazing Bruce Banner!
I know,
he's a fantastic actor. The most sympathetic guy. Obviously, Bruce Banner becomes Hulk, and he looks like when they make the Hulk, he still looks like Ruffalo.
Yeah.
Oh my God, I thought Hulk was gonna ruin that entire thing because they're trying to salvage something out of nowhere, and it turned out to be one of my favorite pieces of the whole Avengers movie.
The best part was when he finally gave Loki his comeuppance near the end.
Oh my God, that was the best. Because and then obviously they gave the people what they wanted, right? Captain America.
Yeah.
Because the whole movie, Mark Ruffalo was trying to control the Hulk, and then he realizes he can't control it. It's just a part of who he is. I'm always angry, and then fucking Captain America goes Hulk, smash.
Yeah, might as well. If you're gonna be angry, might as well unleash it against the aliens.
My first super reaction when I watched that movie in theaters was when he went Hulk smash. To me, that was the equivalent at that time of Captain America picking up Thor's hammer, Mjolnir. Yeah. Said Hulk smash. That was in the theater. I was like, "Ooh, it's gonna go down. It's going down," and it was worth it. It was so worth it. We're gonna end.
Was amazing.
Your final thoughts on the Avengers movie? And
the first Avengers movie.
Topic. Yeah, the first one.
The first Avengers movie is great. I feel like obviously things got way better as the sequels went on, but the first Avengers movie still holds up as a really good movie. Action movie, superhero movie, a bit of drama in there. You name it.
It's hard to imagine because knowing what we know now, at the time, seeing that Avengers movie go, this is the best it's ever going to be. This is Godfather 2. How can they make this better? And boy, were we wrong in the coming years. Coming up on the next podcast, we're talking about Phase 2, the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Noah and Nate's reactions on the DialUp Podcast. Good place to end it there. Noah froze again. This is the charm of the DialUp Podcast episode.
I have so much to say about Infinity War and Endgame as like a duology. I feel like they're the best 2-part movie that's been released since like Star Wars.
Ever, Noah. I hate Star Wars, by the way. You know I'm not a Star Wars guy, so ever.
Really?
Oh, I hate Star Wars.
Well, you know what?
4,
You're
5,
still my
and 6,
friend, and I
that's
still.
it. No, Star Trek is where it's at. Star Trek, bitch. Live long and prosper, bitch. That's how we roll.
I mean,
double Vulcan.
I mean, I'm a Trek fan too, but my heart always belonged to Star Wars.
See, you're not a Trek fan. You call yourself a Trek fan.
Well,
At least you didn't say
Trekkie. Are you kidding me?
We're Trekkers.
I'm.
Get it right. Trekkers.
What do you call a Star Wars fan then? A
I can't say it here without being bleeped out.
Ouch. Got some animosity going down here. But
Star Wars
I like both franchises.
Oh, go. After 4, 5, and 6, downhill.
No, are you kidding me? Revenge of the Sith was great.
Hold on, I gotta throw up over here. What did I miss?
What can I say? Star Wars was what I first watched as a kid, and like that's what got me into sci-fi. Star Trek came a little later after that.
Oh my god, that's a good topic for the next podcast. I'm gonna make like talking points on it, and we're gonna discuss it, Noah. Star Trek versus
Okay,
Star
sounds
Wars.
good.
I think that'll be fun. Let's continue on from our last podcast, episode 1, technically the first, where you were a disembodied voice. Did you watch any Red Dwarf, Noah?
You know what? I tried to find it on Netflix, and for some reason I couldn't find it no matter what I searched. I searched
YouTube.
Red, I searched Dwarf, I searched Red
It's
Dwarf.
not on Netflix.
I did try to look it up on YouTube.
I'll link you.
I could have sworn you said it was on Netflix. Okay, please do, because for the life of me, I typed in like Series 1, Episode 1, Red Dwarf. I'm getting episodes from Season 7 and 3.
Yeah, that's pretty much what happens.
I remember I remember 2005, the Wild West of YouTube, where you could watch like anything, any show or movie, even though it was split up into parts.
Yeah. Oh my god, that's where I first watched TMNT Forever. That's gonna be my recommendation for today's video, where we talk about what we recommend for people to watch. I think it's still on YouTube. TMNT Forever.
The uncut version is available online, yes, because actually the version on DVD has some scenes taken out from the TV broadcast. For what reason, I don't know.
What scenes? Can you name them off the top
I can't
of your head?
even... Not off the top of my head. I'd have to go back and rewatch Turtles Forever, which I actually might do this week, because, you know what? That's a damn good movie, and I could use some turtle to cheer me up.
It's on Netflix. I remember my friends and I watched it. It was broken up into like 18 parts or something.
Yeah.
But TMNT Forever was based on the original 1989 cartoon and the early 2000s Nickelodeon?
The 2003 4Kids cartoon.
Sweet! They got little initials on their belt buckles. Like superheroes.
Where the turtles were like 7 foot tall or something like that.
Yeah, and it was much closer to the original comics, but like still had a bit of levity because it was still technically a kids show.
Oh my god, TMNT Forever was so good because that's what drew me into like the next generation of Ninja Turtles and actually made it okay for me, an original Ninja Turtles fan, to like not just the 2001 CGI Nickelodeon one.
Oh yeah, you know what? That was surprisingly a really great series.
It was on Netflix as well.
I think it still is, actually.
Yeah, I watched it with my kids. They liked it. I liked it. I thought it was, it was well done. Different take. Obviously, they ended it when 2014, 15.
Yeah,
I didn't
around there.
Don't spoil it for me. I don't want. I haven't finished
it
yet. But TMNT Forever.
I will just say. I would just say it gets crazy in some of the later seasons. You're gonna love it.
Oh my god, the Krangs. Okay, so we're talking about TMNT Forever. The mid 2000 Ninja Turtles. Is this the birth of the Turtle universe? The Turtleverse?
in a way, I guess, because there had never really been a TMNT crossover with other, like, there was no Mirage and, like, Archie Comics crossover back in the 90s that I know of. If I'm wrong, please correct me.
Well, they actually reference it, because I bought it on DVD. They reference it in the show. And so basically, yeah, there's always been dimensional jumps in Ninja Turtles, I guess, so it's always been part of the...
Yeah, like,
it's been in their universe.
One time they met Archie in the Riverdale gang.
So why wouldn't it make sense for them to have universes of turtles? And if you actually watch the cartoon, they do like a flash of all the different turtle universes, and then they show like the movie turtles.
Yeah.
They show the what's it called? The one
Yeah,
with the
and then
female
they,
turtle.
like,
Live action on Fox.
I don't think they showed that. Actually, I don't think they showed the next mutation because Peter Laird, who was in charge of the franchise at the time, hates Venus de Milo with a passion and wanted nothing to reference her ever.
We're gonna watch it. I'm pretty sure it's there. I'm gonna find that screen cap. I'm gonna show you, Noah. Next mutation has been referenced on TMNT Forever. I will find it and I'll show it to you. But and then where do they end? The show ends on, I guess, Universe Zero, the origin point for the turtles.
In the original, yeah.
God damn.
The original, like it. The first issue from 1984, they go back to.
Deep cuts in that. I won't ruin it, I guess, but I'll leave it at that. My favorite scene in the whole cartoon is when, like, the new age Michelangelo meets all the old turtles, and they're like, these guys are great! Because the original turtles were like 4 Michelangelos, right? They didn't have defining characteristics. Well, in a way they did, but not as strong. They were all just a bunch of cowabunga dudes.
Yeah.
In the early 90s. And in the new Turtles, I guess the mid-2000s, you know, Raph is more of a hard ass, Leo's more of a leader, and Michelangelo is still Michelangelo. It's like, these guys are great. Oh, it's so good. Watch it. It's on Netflix. Nate recommended.
One thing stays constant in TMNT, and that's that Mikey is always a party dude.
Yeah, Raphael is not crude and rude in the first cartoon. But have
he's
you
cool,
thought...
but
Sorry, go ahead.
He's cool but Crew, the theme song.
Cool but Crew. Why do you know this? You weren't even born yet. I was born.
I watched 90s Ninja Turtles on VHS hand-me-downs from my cousins.
I was born. That was my... See, look at this is the whole charm of this podcast. Noah educates me on things I grew up on. But have you given thought about a recommendation for people to watch and you can recommend on our podcast?
Actually, yes. So I have been really enjoying Batman, the animated series, on reruns right now. The Teletoon is in free preview, so I've been taping the Batman and Justice League shows when they come on at night. And I would highly recommend, yeah, I'm the man your parents warned you about, the man who still uses VHS in 2020.
Wow. For people who don't know, Noah hooked up a PS4 to a CRT television.
I did, because I didn't have an HD TV at the time, but I do now. And now the VCR is hooked up to the HD TV.
And not a PVR in sight, but a VHS player still works on it.
I can record YouTube videos through the PS3's YouTube app onto VHS. We're going to make a VHS compilation, The Best of Thrift Dweller.
Oh my God. Noah is officially going to make the VHS tapes with special features, mail it out to you.
Yeah.
Noah Productions features Thrift Dweller, seasons 1 through 8. On
and all the proceeds
VHS tapes.
And all the proceeds will go to Extra Life.
All the proceeds will go to the Noah Fund to buy him a new laptop.
Come on, I need something that can run MAME. I want to play House of the Dead.
Oh God! So your recommendation is what was your recommendation? Sorry, I already forgot.
I have 2 shows to recommend today. It's a double whammy. Batman the Animated Series.
Okay.
If you've never seen it, what's wrong with you? Go watch it. And Justice League Unlimited, which is a follow-up to a lot of the DC animated universe.
Are you talking about Batman?
Those 2 shows.
My Era Batman. Sorry, hate to interrupt.
Yes, Kevin Conroy Batman, the only Batman.
That's some deep cuts. One of the quintessential.
I mean, Mark Hamill.
Oh yes, Mark
Hamill. I think you mean the only Joker.
the archetype which all Jokers. Well, it's very hard for me to say that. Jack Nicholson's Joker was very definitive to me, but we can talk more about this.
Yeah. Batman the Animated Series is a show that holds up, is timeless, and can be enjoyed by anybody, kid or adult. I think that's the magic of a good comic book adaptation, is when you have a good team who respects the source material, but dilutes it and like kind of, I guess, abridges it in a way or translates it in a way that anyone can get into it, even if you've never picked up a Batman comic in your life.
And it birthed one of my favorite characters in the Batman universe, Harley Quinn.
Yes, I mean, that alone cannot be overstated. How much an impact that character has had.
Actually, I was bidding on the first appearance of Harley Quinn in the Batman Adventures comic book. That comic
such an
is
expensive issue.
It's so overvalued right now. Wow.
You know what's funny? They did a dollar reprint of it a few months ago, and it's sold out everywhere. I could not find it.
Comic books in general, I think, are very overvalued collectible right now. And there you have it. Sorry to end the podcast like this. On behalf of Noah and myself, thank you very much for checking out episode 2. We're still kind of trying to find our way through this entire thing, but yeah, like true to the DialUp Podcast motto, still SD from 93. Technical issues, janky equipment and all that. Also, I noticed since editing this video today, I lost something. I cut my hair since this podcast. But yeah, don't forget to check back to the channel. Thank you very much again for watching. On behalf of Noah and myself, peace. DK all day. Take care of yourselves and each other.